Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 3 of Direwolf20's Space Engineers Let's Play series. I am chewing up a bunch of ore. I found myself a little silver node. I'm very happy about this. However, I'm also getting a little bit nervous because I see a little red ship off in the left-hand corner there. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like a ship is coming after me. So I'm going to grind what little silver I can here. Make sure I've got this GPS coordinate saved. New from current position. We'll just won't even rename it for now. And I am getting the heck out of here. Let's keep that assailant behind me and go as fast as I can away. Hopefully I can escape this dude, and if I can, I'll be very pleased about that. Let's boogie. So you can see the red ship. It's currently on the bottom of my screen. Going to turn off my ore detector so nothing gets confusing over there. He is still gaining ground. I can't really go fast in the ship. It's not meant for speed, and it shows. So let's see how fast I can get away from these guys and if I'll be able to escape them. Hopefully I can. I feel like they might be approaching me at max speed, though, and that's not a good thing. But if I can get away, great. I don't know if they're, like, specifically targeting me or what the deal is, but I am getting the heck out of here. Flying away. Yeah, looks like they're pretty good distance behind me. Luckily, I think I'm getting away. If I am, nice. Dude, that was close. Those guys got real close to me. The only problem is, I don't know if they're after me. I think they're leaving me alone. Because they're not even close to keeping up with me now, which means that I think that they're... Yeah, okay. I think they're leaving. Yeah, they seem to be going away. Nice. So I don't think they liked me going over there. That was a scary situation that I was in. But I got silver. A very small, minute amount of silver, but I got it. That was a close call, but I'm going to... See, I don't have to use my engines anymore because I turned off inertial dampeners. Save a little bit of fuel. And then when we get close to the base there, I should be all right to get in. There we go. Alright, so let me go get close to my base, land, and then we'll come back to see what we're going to do for the episode. Alright guys, by the way, keep in mind that when you don't have enough speed to slow down, that can be a problem. So make sure to turn those inertial dampeners on a good distance away from your base. Boy, am I slow and overloaded. I want to show you guys some of the upgrades I made to my ship in just a moment here. Clearly made a couple, but first let's land and then we'll talk about it. I'm just gonna fly up here, come in for a bit of a landing. You can already see a couple extra thrusters thrown on there, and I'm still going a little bit slow. Landing. There we go. Lock. Disengage reactor. Let's see what I got. So 2 upgrades that I did. 1, added a couple more thrusters. This ship was not built for speed, as I mentioned. 2 things thrusters do. 1, they produce thrust. And the more mass you have on your ship, and that includes blocks placed on the ship and the mass of the ore inside cargo holds and drills, all that adds up and slows your ship down. So the heavier your ship is, the more thrusters you're going to need to move it. So I added a few more thrusters on the forwards and backwards direction. We can see a couple there. Yeah. So we've got the 1 in the front, and I added 2 more. Cool. The other thing I added was this guy. Now, this is the first modded item of the series. Dun, 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 dun. The azimuth ore detector. You can see I don't have completely enough detector components in there, but it's enough to get it running, which I just didn't have the resources to really go forward with. So let me show you why I added that. So I'm going to add the azimuth ore detector here to toggle it on and off. This is a modded item. I personally feel like the ore detector is a little bit weak. Watch what happens when I turn it on. So ore detector is on, and I'm not really seeing much. I have to fly pretty close to asteroids to find ore. Like, I'm sitting right next to a giant asteroid, and I don't see any ore on it. The range of the default ore detector is really pretty short. Let's see, ore detector here. Yeah, kind of flimsy. So I added a mod called Azimuth Overclocked Ore Detectors. This thing, when I kick this guy on, let's see what happens. Oh boy, all of a sudden, lots of ore detected. So the ore detector, the overclocked ore detector, I should say, lets you see ore a good distance away, much further than you would otherwise be able to see it. Cool? So I'm going to go ahead and turn that guy off, shut down engines, and get out of the cockpit there. Everything's powered down now, as you can see. Very cool, right? So, in fact, maybe I should do a couple things here. I'll come back in just a moment once I'm ready to start work on the episode. I just wanted you to know about the upgrades I added. So it was just a new module there, a few more components obviously, but definitely worth it because you get to see a lot longer range. So secondly, I've got some ore. This is the ore that I mined at the end of last episode and just a little bit of silver that I put in there. I didn't even grab all the ore out of my drills. As we can quickly see, refining takes a while, especially once you get to the point where you're pulling in a lot of ore from your mining drills from your ships. So we're going to need more refiners, and we're going to want to speed this guy up pretty soon. But before we get to that point, I think I'd like to automate some components of the reactor system and the control stuff here. So let me see what I've got. So I've got a refinery here. This guy, I think I want to rotate him, believe it or not. So let me clear out my inventory as much as I can. And I'm going to rotate this thing, and you'll see why in just a moment. So let's drill this thing down. Actually, no, I don't want to rotate him just yet, because he's still running. I forgot. If I broke into this thing, it would drop all the ores inside. Probably a bad idea. So give me a few minutes. I'm going to let this thing process its ores. Then we'll come back, and we'll want to move him. But I might, while I'm waiting for that, do something else. So one of the blocks I want to build real quick here is this nifty guy. Let's see, if I jump into third-person mode, it might be a little bit easier to see. Yeah, this should be good. This requires some construction components, large steel tube, motors, and computers. So we'll see about that. Construction components, motors, computers, and large steel tube. That should be good. Is an arc furnace. Arc furnaces are a lower tier furnace than the standard refinery. They can only process a few types of ore, not very many. I believe nickel and iron are in the list. So if I were to snag some of this nickel that I've got here, I'm gonna want to clean out my inventory before I do this. Nickel should be allowed in there. And it does so a little bit faster, which is nice. But it can only do certain types of ores. It's like a lower tier. I have, you know, early game type stuff that you want to put in there. So just nickel and iron, I think, for the main part, are what you're going to see going in there. So you can see he's kind of running faster. If we look at the control, we'll see some stats about him, like how much power he uses and his productivity and effectiveness and stuff. We'll get into some of those stats a little bit later. So the arc furnace, less energy, faster processing, but only nickel and iron. That'll kind of help break through some of the backlog of ores that I have to process. All right, good news. My refinery completed all its work. Awesome. So I can put all this stuff away. I'm going to go just drop it over here in this cargo container. Pretty soon, I'm going to be building some more cargo containers, but for now, this will do. Let's go ahead and grind this dude down. And we'll weld it back together. Nice. There's a very specific reason I wanted to rotate this, and you'll figure it out in a moment as I show you what we're going to be working on next. So I'm going to have eventually another refinery here, but for now I'm not going to build that because I really don't have the resources for it. But what I do want to do is start work on a system of tubes. This is going to allow us to automatically transfer ore around, and that'll be a good time for everybody. So I've got some ore here, right, in my small ship's drills. What I would like to do is be able to transport that directly into the station without having to manually move all the pieces. There's a couple things actually I'd like to do with this ship, but we'll get to a lot of those changes in a bit here. First things first, moving stuff around. So let's talk about conveyors. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to toolbar 3. Now I'll stick with 1, that'll be fine. So we've got our small cargo container. I'm going to get some conveyors, conveyor tubes, and curved conveyor tubes. That's all we're going to really need right now. There's some other modded stuff that we've got, but these are all pretty much straight up vanilla items. So I'm going to place down these tubes right here. So I'm going to need steel plates to build these, and I also need some interior plates on me as well for some of the building. So let's get some steel plates and some interior plates. Conveyors are a way to connect multiple inventories together. So eventually this will be another refinery, but for now we're good. I'm going to rotate this guy down here and we'll use some curved tubes like so. And the conveyor block itself is a good way to do like multiple junctions. So if I put down my conveyor here, then I can run stuff elsewhere. So I'm thinking what I'd like to have is probably this guy running out like this. Cool. And we'll be back in a minute once I plan out exactly how I'm going to lay this whole thing out. All right, we're back, guys. So planning this out, I think I'm going to have just a handful of small cargo containers. They'll kind of run along here. So my plan for this base so far, just to get started with it, is a handful of cargo containers here that'll store some raw materials. Over here, obviously, we'll have the assembler, some refineries going out that way, maybe a couple more arc furnaces here. They'll probably eventually no longer be needed because once you start getting into upgrading refineries, they actually are faster than the arc furnaces. And then I'll move that cargo container over there. So I'm probably going to want 2 cargo containers here. So let's put this here. Weld this up as much as we can. Oh, awesome. I have everything I need. Perfect. So now I'm going to have 2 cargo containers. And in theory, I should be able to break this block underneath. And the cargo container will not be going and flying away because he's attached to his neighboring cargo container. Awesome. And I'm going to throw down this dude. And we'll put a conveyor block right there. I need more interior plates. Wow, I had like just enough to build that? I guess so. I don't need those. Conveyor, and then I'll probably just throw a couple of these guys out for here. So let's get the refinery hooked up to that thing. So we're going to have to weld all these components together. I probably don't have enough of everything, but let's see. I'm going to need more construction components by far. And I doubt that I have enough. Well, actually I have quite a lot of them, so that's good news. We'll put these away. I don't need large steel tubes, apparently. And I probably won't need displays for this either. Bulletproof glass, by the way, one of those optional things at the end that adds armor. But since I don't have a ton of that right now, I'm going to hold off. Looks like I need more motors. How am I for motors here? Shaky. I don't think I have any more. So let's get everything else added and see if we're short any other components. So you're waiting on motors, as will you. As will you, apparently. Wait for motors. I need a few more small steel tubes and construction components probably at this point. So let's get what I can here. Some more construction components. Looks like I'm out of small steel tubes, but I can produce those with some iron. If I have any. I do. Into the assembler you go. Production. Let's get about 100 of those guys, because they're pretty cheap. Also, I've got more iron over here and nickel. I'm going to put them in here for now, just so that they're available for when I need them. So right now, the main thing I'm going to need more of is motors. And we'll have to see what's involved in making those. Otherwise, I think I'm doing alright in terms of materials. Just motors and small steel tubes. Not bad. And a few more construction components. Oh, more interior plates as well. Do I have any more of those? It doesn't look like it. By the way, you can search up here for an item type, and it'll show you only inventories that have it. Cool, right? So I guess another thing we'll want some more of is interior plates. Production. Interior plates, about 100 sounds good. Alright, let's see what's involved in making motors too while I'm here. Motors require just some nickel. That doesn't sound terrible. I've got some of those. Let's get about 75 of them. That ought to be good. And I've got all the resources, so now all I have to do is kind of just hang out and wait a few minutes. So I'll come back in a moment here once all that has finished being produced. Nice. Alright, I think that should be about it. So let's get this system set up and running. Oh, more steel plates. Thought I had everything I needed, and then I was wrong about it. So you'll notice these lights are red. What that's telling you is that you do not have a solid connection from one block to another. Now it's green because we've got a cargo container talking to a conveyor. That's all we've got though. So these will be red until they connect up to the other conveyor on the other end of this line. Need more motors. They should be almost done. Oh, and I also started making a little bit of bulletproof glass because why not? So you'll notice that once this thing's done completed, these lights should all turn green. Nice. So a refinery can talk to this conveyor, and shortly this conveyor will be able to talk to that conveyor, which will be able to talk to this stuff. So what that should mean is that now from this cargo container, I should be able to access the refinery, which means I should be able to take whatever's in the refinery at the moment, which is nothing because I already moved it all. This cargo container can access it, and this is cargo container 3. So I can't transfer stuff from this cargo container, right? But let's search for cargo containers. I'm going to put some bulletproof glass and all my stuff in there. I should be able to transfer it to cargo container 4 though. Nice, because they're touching directly. That's pretty cool. I like it. I'm thinking I might want to hook into this guy, and if that's the case, I might want my conveyor here as well. Needs more interior plates. And a few more small steel tubes while I'm at it. This will get us back up and running. I already broke the system I made. That's how Dyer rolls. Five more. Don't worry, once we get rolling with some automation, this stuff will seem like child's play. Nice. So then the last piece I'm probably going to want to hook up here is this dude, and I want to rotate him like so. And all I need is a few more motors and construction components, and then we should be in good shape. Now our assembly should be part of our system. Beautiful. And what I can do now is something very cool. All the components that are being produced by the assembler can automatically get transferred over somewhere like this cargo container. Ta-da! Very cool. So let's automate this. One thing, and this is specific to a mod, is the ability to automatically route items around. A mod does this. This is not part of vanilla. I think it's probably one of the more useful mods out there, and let me show you how it works right now. So let's say we wanted this cargo container to pull all the ores that it can find to itself. So this is cargo container 3. I'm going to rename him. I'm going to call him cargo, and anything you put in brackets here is going to define what goes in there, right? So there's a lot of things we can put in there. For example, I can put OR, okay? And anywhere on the network that OR exists, it's going to pull it directly in here. We don't have any OR connected to our pipe network at the moment, but this cargo container, we're going to have store specifically components. So I'm going to call him cargo components. And if we check the inventory now, what we should see happen is shortly he'll populate this. You know what? It might be component, not components. I think that's right. Boom. Look at that. Pulled all the components that it could find across the network. Now this small cargo container over here doesn't have access to the network. See, I can't pull stuff manually, so it can't pull automatically. But we'll notice that cargo container OR here is now empty. So by naming these cargo containers very specific things, and the mod is the auto sorting mod. You can find it in the mod list. And if you look on the Steam mod page, it'll tell you all the different things you can do with it. You'll be seeing a lot of this throughout the series. But what I'm going to do now is just run over here, snag pretty much everything that I can. That looks good. And I'm just going to drop it in here, right? And it should automatically sort for me. So this is obviously where all components go. But when I throw some ores in there, like I'm about to, like I'm going to get some uranium, the uranium should get transferred over to the other cargo container. In theory. Right? Come on, transfer. Let's go. Make Direwolf look like he knows what he's talking about. Did I name it ore or ores? Yeah, I named it ore. I think uranium comes over here. You know what? Call me a dire derp. Ores are the unrefined ones. Ingot are the refined materials. There we go. Now it's working. Nice. So by using this, you'll notice here that now the inventory of this guy holds all of our ingots, and the inventory of this guy holds all of our components. Beautiful. So I'm going to move the rest of this cargo container's components over. It's going to take me a minute or two to run back and forth, but we'll be back in a moment once we're done. All right, so let's talk about some of the things vanilla Space Engineers can do even without the mod that we just showed that does sorting. So really, anytime you guys see me do any naming of a cargo container and making items automatically land in there, that's going to be mod related. But anything else that conveyors do will probably be vanilla Space Engineers. One of those examples is the assembler. You'll notice that the assembler currently has a little bit of nickel and iron in there because it's trying to make motors and it doesn't have enough. So let me empty this out real fast. And I'm going to place it in here. And you'll notice it should get sucked over to the other inventory real quick because this is the one that ingot's going, right? So we've got a decent amount of iron here, about 17,000. It's actually not that much. But let's say I want to produce a bunch of steel. Previously, you saw me having to put steel in here. However, I'm going to go ahead and start crafting. And what it should be able to do is automatically pull in... Oh, that's only 17.6 in total. Never mind. That's a bad example because I don't have enough steel to do what I want to do. I need to go mine some iron. That's probably a good idea. Yeah, let's go mining for some iron because I am quite short on the stuff. What do I have in my inventories here? I should probably clean these out a little bit because, as you know, I've got some stuff to clean out of my inventories. So let's refine some of this. By the way, if I were to throw some raw ore in there, it should get sucked up by the refinery. Nice. And the refinery will automatically send its ingots over to the ingots chest because the ingots are named as such. So the naming here is what allows that to work, right? So refineries will automatically pull, mod or no mod, and the automatically sending stuff over, yeah, that's definitely the mod. Cool. So that's confusing to you guys. Apologies. But for now, I'm going to let this stuff process. So nickel I should probably be throwing in my arc furnace anyway. As we know, that process is better in there. I'm going to go mining for a little bit of iron. I'll come back when I'm ready. By the way, I want to add another reactor. One little trick you can do is choose small blocks here, and you'll notice all the small blocks that are available. Unfortunately, you can't search in the screen, and that's something that always kind of bugged me. I wish I could search for what I want to make, because once you add mods in, there's a bunch of other stuff in here that obviously you start having a lot more that you can build, so that makes things tough. But I want to get myself a small reactor here. I don't know if I can find it. Small conveyor. Conveyors. Let's see. Where's a small reactor at? Here it is, small reactor. So if you just click on that, it'll automatically make all the things that you need to make, which is pretty cool in my opinion. The only thing is I haven't hooked this guy up yet, so let's get the ingots that we're going to need and move them manually. He's not part of the conveyor system yet, so keep that in mind. So we're a little bit shy on a couple things, but I'll get it taken care of real quick. So remember earlier I said there's two things that thrusters do, and one of them is thrust. The other one is use lots of energy. So the reason I want a second nuclear reactor here is so that I can power those extra thrusters that I added on earlier. Nice. So now we should be... You can see we're still overloading our power usage, but that's okay. Let's fly away and get ready to do some mining. I know that, luckily, there's a very large amount of iron. Typically, these big asteroids have a large amount of iron sitting on them. So let's see. Yeah, I can throw the full thrust out. It's just when I throw a few more thrusters in that we start to overload ourselves. Cool. All right, I'm just going to mine up a bit of iron here. Excellent. I don't really need the ore detectors on at the moment because I know what iron looks like. And we'll be back once I've gotten it all. All right, guys, I'd like to add some cargo storage right there to my mining ship. Cool. So I'm going to need construction components, computer, motor, display, and some more interior plates. So construction components, interior plates, motors, displays. I think computers is the other one I forgot. Where's computers? There we go. Sweet. Alright, cool. Now I want to hook this up so that I can actually run stuff to it. So let's depark, right? We'll blast off here a little bit. Could probably use a few more thrusters at some point soon, but I think I'm going to rotate these guys. So I'm going to grind these down. Oh, that's right. There's ore in there, isn't there? Ah, should have cleaned that out. Lots of ore. It's okay. There isn't that much ore. Gotcha. Cool. Nice. So I can replant that guy. I'm thinking I want him to be something like... I want him rotated more like this. And I think here is probably going to be a good spot. We might have to rearrange this later, but for now this will work. There's a specific reason I'm doing this. And it relates to something we already worked on this episode. Conveyors. I want to tap into the conveyor system now. Where is the center of this block? Unfortunately, I think it's right here, isn't it? Yes, it is. Great. So that's not super helpful. Probably going to need to rearrange a few things on this ship. I think what I'll do is give myself more space on the ship. There we go. Let's get just a few more steel plates. And I'm going to come back in a minute after I weld all this up. So it should come as no surprise that there are small versions of the conveyor blocks that we've gotten to see a little bit. I'm going to get rid of this landing gear for the time being. And then I can run this dude. What are we going to need more of? How am I for motors at the moment? I have none. Cool, we're going to need more of them. Probably more construction components too. That should be good. And interior plates, we've got a few on us. I could probably use more. So let's hook this guy up. I'm going to run him like so. Small version of this guy right there. Cool. And then we're probably going to want him to just run out. That shouldn't be too bad. Let's run this like so. We're going to rotate him around. We're going to want to do the same thing over here. Let me get this guy moved. Let's get all this ore out of here for a moment real quick. Alright, this looks like it'll work. So, cleared out the drill. Gonna weld it up. And then on the center here, I'm going to go with a small conveyor, followed by 1, 2, and then this guy. Nice. So this will allow the drills to share inventories. This should light up. Green. Nice. And then if we want to run this back further to here, that shouldn't be a problem. What I'll probably wind up doing, if I can sneak it in there. This is not the best design ship I've ever made, but it'll work for now. Because I really don't have the resources to be all fancy and nice about stuff. But don't worry, we'll get there. I've got some cool ship designs that I've played with in the past and have in mind to make. There we go. Cool. So while that's not ideal, it'll work for a very basic miner. So now when I go mining, I should be able to store all my ore in the cargo container, which means I can mine for a much longer period of time without worrying about my drills filling up. Let's give it a try. By the way, because I broke my drills, we're going to, I mean, we can, they don't really need to be named, but I will, why not? Drill 1 and 2, we have to redefine our block group. So we'll say drills, and now this thing should work. Nice, very cool. All right, let's give this a try. And if I'm right, then we should be getting all of our ore in our cargo container. So you'll notice all the ore goes into the drill, but then it's quickly sucked out into the cargo container. So drills have a unique property. You notice I didn't do any renaming of anything, right? One of the properties of the drill is that it will automatically push all the stuff that it has in its inventory to a cargo container that it can find. So without the cargo container having to pull it because of that mod, the drills will inherently just push it straight out, just like refineries pull ore straight out. Cool. So let me mine for a moment here and then we'll be right back. All right, now all my ore should be in the cargo container. Unfortunately, we are wrapping up this episode at this time. It is time to wrap up now. But my plan is to come back next time, and we are going to look at connectors, because there's a little tube section down there that I never did quite finish, right? The other thing to keep in mind is that I got rid of my landing gear. You don't need a landing gear on a ship, even though it's the first block that you place. You can just kind of leave your ship floating there. Don't power it off because it can float away if something bumps into it. But notice that, like, you know, we've got 242 days of fuel time here with nothing running. If you forget to leave on, like, your some of your devices there, they might use up some fuel time, right? With your drills running, maybe some fuel time. But we've got plenty of fuel. It just sitting there floating in space, not doing anything, burns fuel very slowly. So that'll last a long time. For now, Direwolf20 is signing off. We're going to wrap up the episode here. We'll come back next time. I want to make it so I no longer have to manually move ore out of my mining vessel. And for that, we're going to want to build something very cool. Something called a connector. So that's going to happen next episode. Cool? All right, guys. Direwolf20 signing off. Take it easy.